The morning sun spilled gold over the glass towers of downtown Chicago as cars streamed into the city like rivers of steel. Inside one of those towers, high above the street, sat Ethan Cole, a man whose name had once been synonymous with vision, ambition, and unimaginable success. He was a millionaire many times over, a builder of dreams for others, but a hollow man in his own heart. Because 5 years ago, he had lost his only daughter, Lily. She was just 17 when she vanished in a storm off the Oregon coast, a trip that was supposed to be a simple sailing lesson, a memory between father and daughter. They found the wrecked boat. They never found her. Since that day, Ethan's life became a mansion of silence. He stopped laughing, stopped traveling, and stopped living for anything beyond work. He built higher, richer, faster, as if money could drown out guilt. But no amount of success could silence the echo of her laughter or erase the image of her bright blue eyes fading beneath storm clouds. CTA first, before we go deeper into this heart-touching story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Soul Spark, where real emotions, cinematic stories, and life-changing lessons come alive every day. It was an ordinary Tuesday when everything changed. Ethan had arrived at one of his company's new construction sites, a multi-million-dollar housing project his firm was developing. Normally, he wouldn't visit a site himself, but today, he wanted to see progress with his own eyes, to feel something real, even if it was just the raw scent of cement and dust. He stepped out of his black SUV, the cold wind brushing against his tailored coat, and began walking past the workers. They barely noticed him. Another man in an expensive suit, clipboard in hand, giving polite nods and half smiles. But then, halfway across the scaffolding, he froze. There, among the workers in orange vests and hard hats, was a young woman, bending to lift a bucket of cement. Her face was smudged with dust, her hair tied back in a messy ponytail, but her eyes, those eyes, blue, deep and alive, just like Lily's. Ethan's breath caught. His mind screamed it was impossible, but his heart refused to listen. The world around him blurred into silence as he took a slow, trembling step forward. Every movement of the girl, every turn of her head, every flicker of expression, it was Lily. He whispered her name under his breath, almost afraid the sound might break the illusion. Lily, the girl looked up, and for a brief, shattering moment, the world stood still. She blinked, startled by the stranger's gaze, and gave a polite nod, the kind of look a worker gives a passing supervisor before turning back to her task. Ethan's knees weakened, his chest felt like it would cave in. He turned to his assistant, whispering hoarsely, "Find out who that girl is." Her name was Anna Reynolds, 21 years old, new to the site. Ethan couldn't rest that night. He sat by the window of his penthouse, staring at the city lights, thinking of Lily, of her laughter echoing in the kitchen, of the last photo they took before that storm. He compared it to the girl's face in his mind, the same shape of jaw, the same innocent brightness in her eyes. He knew what grief could do, how it could make you see ghosts and strangers. But something about this felt different, real. The next morning, he went back. He found her sitting alone during lunch, eating a simple sandwich beside the scaffolding. Ethan hesitated, then approached. "Mind if I sit?" he asked softly. Anna looked up, surprised. Sure, sir, you're the boss here, right?" He smiled faintly, something like that. There was an awkward silence, broken only by the sound of construction in the distance. Ethan studied her, the way she pushed her hair behind her ear, the small scar near her eyebrow, identical to Lily's. "Where are you from, Anna?" he asked carefully. She shrugged. "All over, I guess. I grew up in foster care mostly. Moved around a lot. Never really had a place I could call home." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "No family?" "Not that I know of," she said with a sad laugh. "Guess I wasn't the kind of kid people lined up to adopt." The words hit him like a knife. Over the next few days, Ethan found excuses to visit the site again and again, to talk to Anna, to hear her voice, to learn more. She was kind, humble, hardworking, nothing like the cold world he lived in. But there was a fire in her too, the same spark Lily used to have when she talked about changing the world. Soon he offered her a better position, a desk job at the main office. She protested, saying she didn't have the skills, but he insisted. "You'll learn," he said with a smile. "Everyone deserves a chance." As weeks passed, Ethan's world began to change. The silence in his house softened. He found himself smiling again, laughing even. Anna would visit his office after hours, helping with small tasks, and the two would talk for hours. One evening, as the city lights shimmered through the glass, she asked softly, "Why are you always so kind to me?" Ethan hesitated. "Because you remind me of someone I lost." She tilted her head. "Someone important?" He nodded slowly. "The most important." There was a long pause. Anna smiled sadly. "Then maybe I was meant to find you, to remind you she's still with you somehow." Ethan turned away, hiding the tears in his eyes. Months passed. Anna became like family. She started calling him Mr. Cole, but sometimes, when she was tired, he'd catch her accidentally saying Dad. They'd both laugh it off, but deep down, the words sank into his soul like sunlight on a frozen lake. Still, one question haunted him. Who was she really? One night, when she was helping him sort through old papers, Ethan offered her a cup of tea. As she reached for it, he noticed the faint birthmark on her wrist, a crescent-shaped mark. His hands shook. Lily had the same one. Exactly the same. He couldn't breathe. His heart thundered in his chest. "Anna, where did you get that mark?" She looked at it, puzzled. "This? I've had it since I was a baby. The foster lady told me I was found after a storm on the coast. No one ever came for me." The cup slipped from Ethan's hand and shattered on the floor. "Where?" he whispered. "Oregon," she said softly. "Why?" Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He turned away, choking on emotion. "Because that's where I lost my daughter." Anna stared, frozen. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of the city below. Slowly, she reached for the photo frame on his desk, a faded picture of a man and a girl on a sailboat. Her lips trembled. "That's me." She dropped to her knees, tears blurring her vision. "I remember the storm. I remember the boat turning, and then nothing." Ethan knelt beside her, his hands trembling as he cupped her face. "Lily, my God, you're alive." They held each other, sobbing. Two souls torn apart by fate, reunited by something stronger than time itself. The city outside glittered like stars, as if the universe itself had paused to watch the miracle unfold. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Soulspark, your home for stories that heal, inspire, and remind us what truly matters. In the weeks that followed, Ethan closed his offices for the first time in years. He didn't care about profit margins or deals. He spent every waking moment with Lily, rediscovering the daughter he thought he'd lost forever. They visited the ocean again, standing hand in hand on the same shore where it all began. The wind carried the scent of salt and forgiveness. Lily smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "I think I was meant to find you again," she whispered. Ethan nodded, pulling her close. "And I was meant to remember that no amount of money can fill the space of a lost heart." The waves crashed softly at their feet, not as a memory of what was lost, but as music for what was found. And for the first time in years, Ethan Cole finally felt alive again. Message: sometimes life breaks us to remind us what really matters. Sometimes the people we think we've lost forever return in ways we could never imagine, not to remind us of pain, but to show us that love never truly disappears. It only finds its way home.